Nothing like a new season, man. There's nothing like it. Cavs opener tonight. Expect a good season from the Wine and Gold. We got plenty of Cavs to get to this morning as we get ready to go for tonight. Something about basketball. That's what we've had the most success doing in this town, right? We got to look at a championship this year? I certainly hope so. You know, it's so different than the Guardians, so different than the Browns. The Cavs have been the team that you show up and you usually meet expectations. Now, this year's another step forward for the Wine and Gold, but you have a star player, the same roster, Kenny Atkinson in the fold. So excited to have Cavs basketball. I just love it, Ryan, because I have a game to watch tonight, you know. And it just is perfect. We got Thursday night football tomorrow, got football on the weekends, but we get the Cavs tonight, kicking their season off. And what should be a really great year for the Wine and Gold. We have all our NBA predictions already in the book, but we got to do our Cavs predictions for today and tonight. We'll get to that coming up. Plenty of football. Jameis is the right call. There's no other option there than to go with Jameis Winston. We're going to talk to Noah Weiskopf about that in just a second. We got college football this morning. I'm really excited to talk to Brett McMurphy of the Action Network. He did his full 12-team prediction for the playoff. Where's Ohio State at? And I can't wait to ask Brett, the team he thinks should be on alert of falling out of the top 12. We'll get to all that coming up at the 9:30. We got the bracket. We'll get to the grid. Time up. Morning update on a Cavs season opener right here on Big Play. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Matt Fontana. He is Ryan Tyler. Streaming on YouTube. Check us out on Big Play Network. We're also up on Instagram. And then Twitch and Twitter are at Matt Fontana Show. Check us out there, and you can check Noah Weiskopf out at Browns with Noah on Twitter and Instagram from the OBR. Noah, as always, joining us on Wednesdays at 9 o'clock. Noah, not the situation I thought we'd be in talking to you today with Watson going down with the injury. We've got the reports out with Jameis Winston. That's the right call, in my opinion. And Noah, I had this idea that if Jameis can play well, and I kind of expect him to, plays out the rest of this year, you get to the offseason, you draft a quarterback with your top pick, and I frankly think maybe you keep Jameis around as your bridge quarterback to that rookie. But with all that, that's kind of discarding Deshaun Watson. Where do you think the Browns quarterback situation stands right now with Jameis reported to be taking the helm over?
Wow. Well, how much time do you got?
We got 2 hours. I got Brett at 9:30, but you can come on back after him.
Yeah. So I think
just blow your class off. It's not that important.
I think the first thing is Jameis is really their only option for this week. I don't know if Dorian's going to be able to go this weekend, period. Mm-hmm. So I think that really, other than Jameis, they're going to have Bailey Zappi and trying to get him caught up to speed. So I think Jameis is really their only option. Now, I haven't confirmed yet or found out whether or not they're going to be rolling with Jameis for the rest of the season, or if this is going to be a 1 to 2 week thing until Dorian's finger is 100% healthy. But again, x-rays came back, nothing structurally wrong. It's just a pain thing on his throwing hand. So we'll see if he's able to even suit up. And I think that would be a big reason as to why Jameis is going to start this weekend. In terms of the quarterback situation, and you mentioned drafting, it's going to be a big problem for the Browns. Is not a problem, but debating on what they need to do. Are they going to take a quarterback with one of these first picks? Or then they going to have to keep Deshaun Watson on their roster? Are they going to have to tell, Deshaun, we're not going to play you, but we're still going to have to pay you? Are they going to try to go to see if he'll take some sort of pay cut? We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know for sure if they'll even take a rookie quarterback with the top pick. They might take best available and continue to try to find a bridge quarterback, or even bring in another quarterback. I probably think this is the most likely, is bring in a QB for competition in the preseason. So who knows what they're going to do, but right now they're focused on having Jameis as their starter for this week. Dorian's going to continue to rehab and see how his finger responds, and then we'll move from there.
And off the Watson injury, Noah, I said this on Monday, that was not a good thing for the Browns. I know people were sick of seeing him play, and they wanted him benched, but him going down with that injury did not help the Cleveland Browns in any stretch of the imagination. Eventually, he might have been benched, and you might have had that for sure answer. I think we all have the answer. He's not going to be the starter moving forward, or he's not going to be the guy to take you where you wanted to go. But no, I just think that injury really throws the Browns a curveball in this whole thing. And you mentioned it, you might have to pay $70 million for a backup quarterback and maybe even a guy that you tell we don't even want you around the facility anymore, just go away. That injury on Sunday, I really think just shifted a lot of things for the Cleveland Browns in a bad way.
It did shift just about everything. It was, I mean, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen now moving forward. Again, if the real question is, the Browns want to get these younger guys playing time. And they know exactly what they have in Jameis Winston. They know that he's a proven veteran guy that can put up points. He throws a lot of interceptions, but he also throws a lot of touchdowns, right? He makes mistakes, but in the process, it's kind of like a Joe Flacco, right? He lets it go. And we saw how much Joe had and how much success he had in Cleveland last year. But the real question remains, do they continue to roll out Jameis knowing that he's going to win them some games, right? Like, this is ultimately what it comes down to. Dorian, they want to roll him out there to see what they have in a younger guy. And in that process, you're probably not going to be winning a lot of games, thus leading to a high draft pick. If you roll out Jameis, he could bring you back. I mean, he could play 500 football, right? Like, that's what he's been known to do. So it really is in the hands of the Cleveland Browns and what they really want to do and get out of the rest of this season.
Noah Weiskopf joining us, Browns with Noah, Twitter and Instagram, OBR, for all of his great work. We're now in the trade. We got the D-Hop move this morning and obviously already moved on from Mari Cooper. But Noah, you're tied in. Do you see the Browns? We don't want to do the fire sale. And we debated Myles all week. I'm hanging that phone up. I'm not taking calls on Myles Garrett, but there's sniffing around maybe Zadarius Smith. If there's a team that needs Jed Wills, we talk about Greg Newsome on not expiring contract. He's got the 5th-year option, and there's even a report he might get extended. Just where do you think overall the Browns sit with trades and anything you're hearing, again, continued fallout from maybe the Amari Cooper trade and just kind of where the team sits?
Yeah, the position they're in right now, their duty is to take trade calls. They're not trading Myles Garrett. I've seen some of those projected offers, and they are ridiculous. It's like 2025 first, 2026 first, 2025 third, 2026 third. It's just knowing.
Still not enough. No, I want 6. I want 6 because the debate we had was this: you get those picks, and even if you got 3 first-round picks, right, you're probably maybe only get hit on 2 of them. That's kind of how the ratio goes in first-round picks anyway. And I doubt very highly that you will draft one of the biggest game wreckers that defense has right now in football. It's just, no, there's nothing really that outside of maybe a quarterback. They want to trade us Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. I'll have that conversation. But I really just do not see a trade package that makes me even think about it.
I think Amari was the biggest trade you're going to see leading up to the deadline. I don't think they're going to make one bigger than that unless you consider a Zadarius Smith move bigger than that. I don't know where you consider those two, but I think Zadarius Smith would probably be the biggest one that realistically could happen before the deadline because it would make some sense. Other than that, I'm looking at a guy like Greg Newsome, who I don't think they'd move on from unless their price tag is met. I don't think they will budge from what they're asking for Greg. They also don't need to make that move right now. They can wait till the offseason. I don't think, unless a team is really desperate for corner help, that a team will come with an offer and meet that. But if they do, I think he could be a name that's moved. Other than that, some smaller guys. I think with Nick continuing to get healthy and continuing hopefully to play well for him, I think that they could look to move like a Deontay Foreman for a conditional 6th, 7th round pick. I think they could look to move potentially Quentin Jefferson, who was a healthy and active, for a late round pick. Some of those guys just to ship them off on 1-year veteran type deals. So I think that those are the most likely. Zadarius Smith, probably the biggest name, and Greg Newsome, probably not happening.
I want to ask you about Nick Chubb. So obviously first game back, got in the end zone. Not great as far as yardage and all that kind of stuff, but they're easing him back in. No, what do you think that Nick can bring to this team? Again, I didn't want the Watson injury to happen, but now I get to see it with Jameis Winston. I get to see it with Nick Chubb becoming healthier. I think the Browns are better when they run the football. I think when you have an offensive line that is as beat up as they are, pass blocking is harder than run blocking. So let's run the ball. And I'm expecting Nick, I think even just his vision. I think one of the best things about Nick Chubb is his vision. That will slowly start to come back. And maybe we get to a point that you start giving him 18, 20 carries again. Not now, but eventually you will. And I was just happy to see him back on the field. Anything you got out of him this year, I said, was a bonus. I was happy to see it, and I kind of am excited to see where this offense goes with Winston and now Nick Chubb back in the fold.
veteran leadership and his personality, I think, are the two things that he brings. Now, his rushing yards per attempt, I think that's all totally dependent on how this offensive line performs in the future. They haven't gotten much push for Nick, especially this past weekend. I know they've been struggling. I know they're banged up. So I think that'll be a lot. That'll have a lot to do with how his yards per carry are in the future. But yeah, I think that his veteran leadership and his personality, you could even see, I think there was a mic'd up thing about just everyone going, even Sam Hubbard from the Bengals walked up to him and just had some words of encouragement. So just knowing how much he's respected around the league, I think that is going to help a lot of players on this team. And truthfully, if Deshaun was still playing, I think that Kevin Stefanski had a tall task ahead of him of continuing, if you're going to continue to drop games, continuing to keep this locker room intact.
Yeah.
There's a lot of veteran guys that at a certain point, it's like, if you guys are not going to make a trade and we're losing every single game, man, is it a tough job for Kevin to have to keep that locker room, continuing to mesh well, because you would start losing guys quick. So I think that Jameis is their best option. And I think that he's going to be able to keep the locker room because of it. But specifically to Nick, I think that he's going to continue to ramp up. And again, if he continues to get healthier, I think a move, one of those running backs, potentially even they could look to move a Pierre Strong, one of those guys. So yeah, as long as he continues to get healthy, I think it's good for not only Nick, but obviously the team and keeping that locker room intact and just his personality.
Noah Weiskopf, Browns with Noah, Twitter, Instagram. Wanted to ask you about Kevin Stefanski as well, because it sounds like, listen, I know we're down and everybody's going to be throwing their barbs and they want their pound of flesh and all that kind of stuff. I think there's a lot of heat right now on Kevin Stefanski, and I'm a defender of his. I think he's really good at his job. Next year will tell a lot, I think, but as far as this year goes, I kind of throw my hands up and say, what do you want him to do? Where do you think people are at with Stefanski? Where do you think they're at with Andrew Berry? And how secure do you think their jobs are moving forward?
If I had to say right now, I would say that Andrew Berry's job is not as safe as Kevin Stefanski. Now, I think it's interesting because what a lot of teams and franchises are doing now is if they move on from one, they're more or less moving on from both, and then allowing your new GM to hire a new head coach. So I don't know how that process would work. If they were to move on from Berry, would they just hire a GM and then let him mesh with Kevin Stefanski? Would they give that GM an opportunity to hire his own guy? I don't know for sure. But I do think that Andrew Berry's job is he's on more of a hot seat than Kevin Stefanski is, and it's for a couple of reasons. One, his draft class, he's had some hits on some drafts, right? But like a lot of them have not panned out. You look at his third round picks, it's a long list of guys that haven't or are yet to make an impact. There's a couple of guys there. We know he hit on MJ Emerson for the most part. He's having a rough year, but he's hit on him and a couple of other guys. But I think that you first look at draft classes and it's not great. Mm-hmm. And I know that he's been really aggressive in the trade market. It's caught a lot of fans' eyes that he's always going to be aggressive in that sense. But if you're not hitting on those guys, I know Amari Cooper was one of his best moves, and there's no doubting it. He produced here for 2.5 years. But if you look at his draft classes, it's not the greatest thing. And then you look at these guys are going down injured and the depth is not there. And that partially falls on a general manager. You need to bring in guys knowing that injuries are a part of this game. So I think those two things combined sort of put him in more of a hot seat than Kevin. And I think Kevin is doing what he can with what he has. But I think that there is a chance that they move on for both of them. But I think it is the more realistic part of this is they just extended both of them to multi-year contracts this past offseason. I don't think anything is imminent, but I do think that if they were to move on from one, I would expect it to be Andrew Berry before it is Kevin Stefanski.
Great stuff, Noah Weiskopf. Anything, the stadium, we're going to talk about the stadium stuff coming up. I know this is like the last gas from Cleveland, but it's obviously something to keep our eye on. I know you guys have been writing a little bit about it at the OBR. I think it's the last gas from Cleveland to try to pull something out of their hat, and it sounds like we're going to Brook Park in a couple of years. There's really nothing else, right?
Sounds that way.
Yeah. No, really appreciate you, man. We'll talk to you next Wednesday. I hope no more season-ending injuries this weekend. Got the Ravens coming to town, so we'll see how that goes. No, really appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you next week. Go Cavs!
Of course. Yeah, let's get a win tonight.
Let's get it. Noah Weiskopf, as always, on Wednesdays with us. Browns with Noah on Twitter and Instagram. Follow him there. So, on the Jameis Winston decision. Obviously, right now, your hands are a little tied because Dorian Thompson-Robinson is injured. And you hear it there from Noah. It sounds like he might not even play this weekend. Ryan, I thought about this in our Twitter question this morning. Would you just name Jameis Winston the starting quarterback for the rest of the season? Would you just come out and say, regardless of Dorian Thompson-Robinson's health, regardless of that draft pick that might fall back on down, or you might actually pick up some wins, would you come out, and the Browns even haven't officially announced him as the starter for this weekend, but would you just come out with, we're going with this guy, and we're naming him the starter for the rest of the season? Throw that up. I want to see how the people feel. We'll do that at Matt Fontana Show on Twitter. Check us out. Drop us a follow there. Here's my reason why yes. Number one, the stability of this team. You're going with Jameis because you need to keep this team afloat. There are veterans out there that got to go out there and put on the line every single Sunday. They need to win some freaking games. I need to win some games. You need to win some games in this. And I understand that the draft pick right now might actually be the most important thing about this season. Well, I push back and I say, listen, there's going to be multiple quarterbacks that are available. And you always want to have your pick of the litter. I get that. But even right now, Patriots are ahead of you. They're not taking a quarterback. And yeah, they could trade with the Raiders. They could trade with the Titans or something like that. I'm thinking more about keeping this team together. And another idea that Noah even talked about there that I also agree with. Let's not shut down the idea that you just bring back Jameis Winston next year and you let him start. I know we want the rookie quarterback and the future hopeful franchise quarterback here. But if the Browns really sit down, let's say you start Jameis. Let's say he wins 4 or 5 more games. That's not crazy. He could do that. And you end your season somewhere around 5-12, 6-11, something like that. All right, that's not top pick. That's still a top 10 pick, but you're not even in the top 3. You sit there and you say, all right, we will take best player available, and we will re-sign Jameis Winston, maybe on a 2-year deal, and let him start the season and say he's going to play the whole year. And then we'll go get a quarterback. And I understand that's kicking the can down the road. But again, that's another year to absorb some of that Watson money. I'm assuming Jameis won't be an insane amount of money. And you can navigate that while still trying to win games. And then you'll get your quarterback after that. I need to open my mind. I think we all need to open our mind to that.
I was already there.
To starting Jameis this year and next year.
I was the one who said that yesterday.
I know. I'm glad you're switching. I'm starting to think about it more and more.
I told you, Travis Hunter.
Well, that's what. There you go. Go get Travis Hunter. Go get I don't know. Wide receiver, offensive line help. Any of that should be available for you wherever you pick. And you also keep again this team together. Dorian Thompson-Robinson can't start right now. And he might start in December if it's really done and out, or if Jameis, God, I hope Jameis doesn't get hurt or anything like that. And you want it to be microwave, you want it to be quick, but that's also something I'm thinking a lot more of. Now, that is going to be contingent, I think, on how this offense looks starting this weekend. And I don't want to be in this hell. Nobody does. We don't want to be here. But like I said with Noah, there's a little excitement for me that I want to see what this is. I want to see what it's like with Jameis. Now, that is inherently tied to who? Kevin Stefanski. Because then this gets tied up, and it was really his fault, not Stefanski. It was really Deshaun Watson's fault, not Kevin Stefanski's fault, right? You're running an experiment. You want to take the variables out. Well, let's put a different quarterback in to this offense and see if the offense is truly broken. Or if it really was, nobody could have success in this. I don't know. We'll find that out with Jameis Winston. Then you're getting Nick Chubb back up to speed a little bit. I want to win games. Sucks that we're here, but I can't wait to see Sunday how Jameis Winston plays. And I think that could help frame what the Browns are going to do over the next calendar year plus. That's all I got. That's all we got at this point is trying to see what Jameis Winston has in this offense. That's it.
Yeah, I understand that it had to get to a certain point, and you had to give it a sample size, and you had to get to the point you're at now to really, make your decision on Deshaun Watson because of what you've invested. But yes, we're going to not necessarily get that answer on Sunday, but you're going to get a hint. You're going to get a little bit of more information.
You got a big sample size coming.
And I'm excited for it like you because, you talk about this evaluation period, right? The season's in the hole. You're not going to the playoffs. There's no bones about that, right? Now you see what you got for the future, and I'm excited to see Jameis Winston get the start. Jameis Winston isn't a similar, obviously there's similarities between him and Deshaun Watson, but they're not similar quarterbacks, I don't think, in any fashion, really.
I thought you were going to go with Flacco. I see more similarities with Flacco and Winston than I do Winston and Deshaun Watson, and look at all the success we have with Joe Flacco, right?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, right.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So I'm excited to see that. And Deshaun Watson has never been one afraid to throw the ball downfield, which will be refreshing because Deshaun didn't seem to want to do that.
30 interceptions when he led the league in touchdowns. You're going
to get that with Jameis Winston, and that's what you got with Joe Flacco, right? And ultimately, is that the recipe to go to the Super Bowl? Probably not. But at the same time,
we're going anyway, right?
Right. You're not going there right now anyway. I'm super excited for Jameis to get the opportunity. And like you said, yes, the one thing that can only fix it is winning. And I think right now, Jameis Winston, and I did think this, gives you the best chance of winning football. And I'm excited to go see him play Sunday. Now, and would it not be the most Browns thing ever, Matt, to beat the Ravens Sunday?
That would be nice. That would be nice. They're riding high, 5-game win streak. They look unstoppable. That would be some sort of fun. Now, I got to ask you, because you were big on Dorian Thompson-Robinson in evaluation. I'm going to ask you our question this morning. Would you just name Jameis the starter for the rest of the season, or at some point do you want to see DTR get in there?
The only reason that I wouldn't name him the starter is because I just don't see a reason to. If Jameis comes out in these next 2 weeks, that you go into the bye and he loses these next 2 games and the offense doesn't look like you recaptured any magic, then I guess go back to DTR. But I don't expect that to happen. I expect the offense to look better. I expect there to be a spark. So I mean, will you tell me your reason?
Stability. Sure. I think it's a continuity, it's an honor thing. It's almost like going to Jameis and go, dude, we believe in you. This team believes in you. You're the starter. Now, the same thing. He goes out there and plays really bad. Okay, well, then you just bench him, right? Anybody would understand that. But instead of this back and forth game and I can't lie to you. I got the PTSD of Watson's going to play. Oh, wait, an hour before the game, he's not. Wait, I hate that back and forth crap. Now, the team doesn't like it, and I guarantee you they did not like Jordan Schultz and Diana Rossini coming out and saying Winston's going to start this weekend because they like playing that game. They want John Harbaugh and their staff over there in Baltimore to have to think about Dorian Thompson-Robinson for a little bit. That's the only reason why they would like to play this game. So I guarantee you the Browns are pissed off that these reports are coming out, even though it was blatantly obvious that they were going to start Jameis, and I'm assuming the Ravens were only going to spend 5 minutes of their week getting ready for DTR. I knew that. You knew that. But still, they're probably not happy these reports are leaking out the way that they are.
I just realized that you saying that the Browns are going from John to Jim. Week to week. John Harbaugh, Jim Harbaugh with the Ravens and the Chargers.
And then the Chargers.
And now I wonder, after that Ravens game, is Jim going to go ahead and call John, hey, what'd you see out of the Browns?
Oh, that's happening.
I mean, that's have a little family talk?
Absolutely. 100%. That's happening.
Wouldn't it be nice to beat John and Jim in 2 weeks?
What's that? Yeah. Find that stat. I'm sure there's got to be some stat about beating the Harbaughs in back-to-back weeks. I'll do it. Let's go. Come on. Let's get after it. I love it. Let's see where we go. All right, we got Brett McMurphy coming up in just about 5 minutes. Really excited to talk to him from the Action Network. Everything college football. He's got his first 12-team prediction on where things shake out. He doesn't have the bye for Ohio State. I can't wait to talk to Brett about that in about 5 minutes. But I did want to touch on the stadium thing as well, because they come out yesterday and they say, we're enacting the Modell law. And then Chris Ronayne, who's the county commissioner, says they go to Brook Park. They ain't getting any funding from the city to go there. This, I don't want to say dog and pony show.
No, it is.
Because it's more, I mean, it is, but it's like there's billions of dollars at play. So it can't just be that. This is trying to save face. This is trying to paint the other side in the negative light. When you have a move like this, that, the other part of it, I understand that I am probably in the minority of people that didn't want the Browns to leave downtown. All right, I do want a new stadium. I want a new stadium. And the ultimate question was, what is your priority? New stadium or staying downtown? Because it came back to you can't have both. You just can't have them each, right? So you get one or the other. But it's so funny that I would tell you, do you not feel like the majority of people are okay with going to Brook Park? On some level, they're okay with it.
100%.
So when that is kind of okay to the fan base, why is it so important to paint the other side in a bad light when everybody seems to be okay with it? Now this comes back to what? Politics. That's exactly what this is, right? The city of Cleveland want the Haslams to be made out that they're only in it for the money. They don't care about the city. And the city of Cleveland, the Haslams trying to paint them in. You didn't give us what we needed, or you didn't close Burke when you should have. You couldn't find us another spot. When I just sit there and say, this seems to be the right move for everything, why can't we just move forward on it? Is it really, do you look at Mayor Bibb and look at him and say, man, you really screwed this up. This is really bad for you. Not necessarily. I just think that this was set in motion a long time ago, and there's nothing you can do about it. They can't create a new spot. I'm going to hold on to this. The only mistake that they made was waiting for as long as they did to explore Burke. When this first came up in 2017, why did they not run surveys then? Why did you have to wait 5 years to then start running surveys? And again, I love Burke. There's people that work here that probably side on me when they walk past the studio going, trying to cost us our jobs here. Why didn't they just look at that earlier? Can't go back. Can't go back. Here we are. Because it seems like the only option is here. And again, some people even said that's not viable. They still couldn't put a dome here. They still couldn't get the parking that they wanted to here. So when I hear this back and forth and this bitching from the city, there's an element of I just say, just let it go. I tweeted that when the announcement came out. She took the ring off, man. Don't go showing up at her work. All right, it's over. It's done. Now you're trying to get papers served on her front porch. Let it go. Let it go. They're leaving. We all have that friend. You're like, let her go, or him go, whatever. Either side of it. Let him go.
Sometimes, Matt, you got a really good one. Sometimes you get really good ones.
What?
That was funny.
You'd like to? Thank you. I just try for one a day. That's all I shoot for here. That's it.
That was a hit.
That was it. That's it. They're moving on. It's time for you to move on with your life. All right. They still got their Facebook picture up. You're like, take that down. Stop it. Stop. She's going to come back. No, she's not. She's not. Let it go. It's all right. We're moving on. The city of Cleveland wants you to believe that they did everything that they could. And I'm here to tell you they didn't. I know they didn't. Do I really care? No. When I go cast my vote for Mayor Bibb or not, is that going to factor in? Not really. I mean, again, it's different for some people, and that's the whole point of voting. You get a vote, I get a vote, you're entitled to your vote. You're probably not going to change my mind. I'm probably not going to change yours. That's why we don't talk politics, right? But when you go cast your vote, which didn't even in this year, right? When you go sit down, are you going to sit there and go, Mayor Bibb, man, he let the Browns leave? Nope. You might do that, and that's all good. You're allowed to do that. Me, I'm more concerned about our economy. Now, what are they going to say? That's 30-odd-some million dollars a year that you lose with the Cleveland Browns leaving, all right? I am going to look more now on what are you going to do with the lakefront development? What are you going to do with that? That revolving door. All of that is what I bring up with the Browns potentially leaving and going to Brook Park. How much that factors in for people, it's a varying scale, and it's all different, but we'll see. So the city coming out and trying to say, oh, you know, we'll enact this Modell law from 1910. They're not leaving town. They're just going to Brook Park. I don't know. So we'll see how that all plays out. Super excited. Talk some college football. To do it no better than Brett McMurphy, Action Network. Go follow him on Twitter. I've been following Brett for a long time at Brett_McMurphy. Now at the Action Network. We're going to talk all college football here. Brett, really appreciate your time. Really excited to get ready to go for the second half of the college football season. You already have your college football playoff predictions out from a couple of days ago. But, Brett, I want to ask, you've been doing this a long time. just the vibe of the 12 team. Now that we're halfway through the season, where I've kind of been one that I say, it takes away from some of these big games, because I know, Oregon, Ohio State, that used to be, well, you're probably not going to make it. Now, I know both those teams are going to make it. Georgia, Alabama, I know both those teams are going to make it. Just halfway through the season, what do you think the impact has been on the 12-team expanded playoffs on the regular season?
I agree with what you're saying, but you look at the TV ratings, and the ratings are, all-time records for some of these games that supposedly don't matter. And I don't think it lessened the intrigue, the importance of all these games. Certainly both were incredible games. The Ohio State-Oregon game goes down to literally to the final play. That obviously adds to it, as opposed to having a bunch of blowouts. But I think it really adds to it, because you have the 12-team playoff, you're bringing in maybe 24 teams that have a legitimate shot to get to the playoff, whether winning their conference title or an at-large bid. And then you've got a group of Group of 5 teams that are in play. And so actually now you've got teams not only rooting for themselves, but you've got fans from the Big Ten maybe turning into SEC games they never would have before to root against Ole Miss or root against Tennessee, because you don't want them to get in that large spot. You want them to lose and shuffle down the rankings, if you will. So I understand about the, win or else mentality we had in the past, but I love this 12-team format. I mean, it's been unbelievable. I do want to say this, as much as I love it, I'm afraid when we get to the end of the Yellow Brick Road, it's going to be the same four usual suspects are going to be playing in the semifinals for the national title. But hey, at least we added some new dance partners, in the early rounds before we got to the serious part of the equation.
Well, I think for most of us too, more football is not a bad thing. The opening rounds, the games beyond that, and that gets me to another point I want to ask you about, Brett. The importance of that bye. Because I want to get to your preview with Ohio State. You don't have them getting the bye. Just in general, not necessarily about the Buckeyes. How important, or how much do you think teams are going to value getting one of those top 4 spots by winning their conference and getting the bye? Do you think that is super important, or it's not that big?
I think we don't know yet, but I can guarantee this. I can't guarantee much. I can guarantee this. So as you know, the first round of the playoffs will be on home campus sites. So that will be unbelievable. And 5 seconds into that first game, everyone on Twitter, and when I say everyone, I mean me, will be saying, why aren't all the playoff games on campus except maybe the championship game, kind of like the Super Bowl? But anyway, those first round games are on campus. So those winners then take on the teams that won their conference to get a first round bye. Here's my guarantee. I guarantee you, if any of those 4 teams that won their conference and had a first round bye lose in that game, their coaches are going to complain and say, because of the bye, we were rusty, we were at a disadvantage. The teams that were continuing to play had an advantage. Why don't we go to 16 teams so everybody plays the same amount of games? Or why can't we play our first game at home? Why do we have to play at a neutral bowl site? So I don't really think it's going to be an advantage or obviously the obvious advantage is injuries.
Right. Yeah.
You've got teams, we mentioned these marquee matchups, Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, so forth and so on. We're seeing more of those because of the bloated conferences, the made-for-TV matchups. I do think what will happen, and we've already seen it impact college football, you're going to see a lot more injuries. These high-quality teams are having to play their starters deeper into these games because they're more competitive. In theory, they're playing many more plays than they have in past years, so they're susceptible to injuries. So look, we've added the number of games, we've added the size of the conferences, the toughness of the games. The roster size has stayed the same. It hasn't gotten any bigger. So now it's really going to impact teams. We're going to see how deep a lot of these teams are. There's been a laundry list of injuries that have happened around the country to certain quarterbacks. Obviously, Big Ten country, Curtis Wark of Indiana, Cam Rising's out for the year. I can go on and on and on. So I think that's kind of been impacted by the addition of these higher quality games. So I think the biggest benefit you're talking about is the rest before that first round playoff game. However, I do think, again, people are kind of just learning about the 12-team play. As you and I know it frontwards and backwards. However, I think what's really going to mess with people's minds is when they see the bracket come out and they say that they see the top 4 seeds, 1 and 2 will be Big Ten, SEC, or SEC Big Ten champs. And then 3 and 4 is going to be ACC Big 12 champs, but they're only going to rank like 6 and 14 in the rankings, and their heads are going to blow off. They're like, why is the 14 seed? Why is the 14th ranked team the 4 seed? And then in that second round, you're going to see, I think, the Big Ten runner-up or second place Big Ten team and the second place SEC team will play the ACC champ and will play the Big 12 champ. And both of those non-champs from the Big Ten and the SEC will be favored against the teams that are supposedly the higher seeded team.
I was going to go right there. Brett McMurphy, join us, Action Network. Follow him on Twitter at Brett_McMurphy. So, like, you have Ohio State at 5, and that's obviously Oregon's already got the 1. Even if they meet in the Big Ten championship, they'll have the tiebreaker. Where you've got Ohio State as the 5, they move on to play Iowa State, who's a 4-5 matchup. But to your point, Brett, I think Ohio State be favored by 17.5 points in that game probably, and you do have them advancing on. So do you like that? And I get that when they reshuffled this, they wanted to still have some importance on the regular season, and that is, again, if you want to buy, you better win your conference, and that is the importance of that. But do you like that, of having the top 4 seeds required to be conference champions?
I don't. I do think you do need to reward the conference champs. Although I could just strictly go with give me the top 12 teams in the rankings and put them in the playoff. If you're going to do that, however, and there's been some talk, the Big Ten and the SEC had meetings, last month in Nashville. There's been some talk about, getting rid of the selection committee. Look, I would have no problem with that. If you want to go with a straight power rating and go with the 12 best teams, I think I would be in favor of that. I'd have to know more about it. But again, everyone, rails on the BCS, how bad the BCS was, the computer rankings, they were horrible. Well, guess what? There's a Twitter account. There's a Twitter account for everything. There's a Twitter account that basically still tracks all the BCS rankings if the BCS still existed. And basically, for the 10 years of the college football playoff, the BCS rankings would have been basically the same as the college football playoff selection committee rankings, with the exception of Florida State last year not making the playoff. My point is, there wasn't an issue with the problem with the BCS wasn't the computer rankings. The problem with the BCS is only 2 teams made the playoff. That's why people went ballistic. We had the LSU-Alabama rematch. So we're like, we got to blow this up. This isn't right. We need to go to 4 teams. We need to have humans pick it. It wasn't the picking that was wrong. It was the number of teams that were wrong. I do like the conference champions getting in there. I do think you still have to reward them somewhat. I agree with you. I don't think they necessarily need to be the top 4 seeds. I think the sweet spot, if you're trying to pick who's going to win this thing, if you can find a team, and it's obviously going to be from the Big Ten or the SEC, that does not play in the conference championship game and still gets a home playoff game in the first round, I think that team is going to have a great shot, because what you talked about. They're not going to have to play conference championship weekend. So they're not playing December 6th. And then their next game is not until December 20th. So they're going to have a lot of rest to get healthy, and potentially they could be playing against a team that just lost in the conference championship game. So now you're playing a team that's not only probably physically beat down, but mentally coming off a championship game loss. Keep your eye on it, on those teams. Basically we're looking at the number 3 team in the SEC or the Big Ten, whoever that ends up being. It could be Ohio State. I doubt it. It could be a Penn State. From the SEC, it could be a Texas. If Alabama gets their straight, it could be Alabama, it could be LSU. I think those teams are going to be dangerous because they're not having to play in the conference championship game, but they will have a bye, and then they get a first round home playoff game potentially against a team coming off an emotional conference championship game loss.
That's a great point, Brett McMurphy. And you're also speaking to a child of the BCS, and I love the BCS, Brett. I wanted the same thing. I go, it works, and your point is so perfect. It worked. You just needed the more teams, and now that we have it, I wish the BCS would come back to kind of set this kind of stuff up. If you
did a selection committee with 2 teams, everybody would say, blow up the selection committee. It's horrible. You try to pick 2 teams, there's going to be a lot of issues with that.
Yeah, I loved it. I'm an Ohio State fan. We got to several national championships through the BCS, so I'm a big fan of it. To turn our attention to Ohio State, you've got them as a 5 seed. I know a lot of people want to read into that Oregon game, and again, if Will Howard just wouldn't have known how much time, and they have certainly that big matchup against Penn State. But where do you think Ohio State sits right now with that 1 loss? Still pretty confident they're going to make the playoffs, but as you mentioned, might not be all a bad thing if they don't have to play in the Big Ten championship game. Just where do you think Ohio State sits today?
Well, that's kind of an unknown. It's kind of the mindset of all these teams and players. And I was in Indianapolis for Big Ten Media Day and Ryan Day and all the Buckeyes there. They were very candid and they're very open. The goal is to win the national championship. It's national championship or bust. Look, I'm old. I've been covering college football a long, long time. I can never remember a team before the season being that open about winning the national championship. Now teams are going to come out, we'd love to win it, we'd love to do, but Ohio State didn't hide it. They're like, we came back, we're to win the national championship. If we don't win it, it's a huge disappointment. I just wonder if at some point later in the season, if maybe that self-impacted pressure kind of affects them at all. I don't know. The other thing is, like you said, I'm sure Ohio State fans would never envision that they may not play in the Big Ten title game. But if they don't, it's not that big a deal. But how is the mindset? Can the coaches, get the players all going in the right direction, where it's Ohio State or anybody else that, the conference championship is really important, but you know what? We've got bigger goals, and we don't have to win the conference championship. If something happens and you don't have a good game, you get knocked off or whatever. Look, Ohio State's in great position. I mean, look, what we've learned so far this year, when Vanderbilt is Army and Navy and Indiana are ruling the college football landscape, anything can happen. But I'm fairly certain Ohio State will be in the college football playoff, whether it's as the Big Ten champ, is the runner-up, or as an at-large team. They're going to be in it. They're going to have a great chance to win this thing, and a lot of teams can't say that. It's just kind of a different mindset for these guys. And with the NIL and everything else infiltrating college athletics, it's become more of a professional sport. And now I think you're seeing that on the field with the transfer portal. You've got teams that are a lot more evenly matched. Look, Ohio State's one of half a dozen teams that can win it all. I don't think there's a dominant team out there. And even if Ohio State would have won at Oregon, I wouldn't say they're a dominant team. I don't think Georgia's a dominant team. I don't know if you realize this or if you got to see the Georgia-Texas game. Everyone's talking about how great Georgia was. Look, their defense was out of sight. Their longest touchdown drive against Texas, 35 yards. What does that tell you? Their offense has issues, but their defense was so incredible, it overcame that. They've got issues. Oregon's not a perfect team. They can beat anybody. They can be beat by anybody. Certainly Miami and Clemson in the ACC. Big 12, I don't think they really have a national title contender. So I think that's what's going to make this playoff so fascinating is 1 week Texas was unbeatable, and then they looked very normal. And then Georgia looks unbeatable, but you go back a few weeks, they could have lost to Kentucky. They struggled with Mississippi State. So this is what's going to make this playoff so fascinating, is because there isn't that so-called elite team out there. I think there's a number of very good teams, but not one that's head and shoulders above everybody else.
To your pick that just came out on the Action Network a couple days ago, is it your first one, Brett, of all 12 that you got predicted ready to go?
No, I do them every week.
Do them every week. So I thought
done them since the preseason. So I had Ohio State. obviously in the preseason one. Had some took some flyers on a few teams, Virginia Tech, Iowa. Those aren't looking too good right now, but yeah, that's the most current one out there now.
So right now you've got Oregon, Georgia, Iowa State, Miami's conference championships with the bye. Ohio State 5, Penn State 6, Texas 7, Clemson 8, LSU 9. You've got Texas A&M 10, BYU 11, and you do have Army getting in there as the 12th seed. Ryan, my producer, loves that. He loves, like you said, just kind of the Army, Navy, Indiana kind of messing things up. So Brett, I got to ask, if one of those teams that you got put in there, is there somebody that you really got circled saying they got to be on their P's and Q's or they're going to miss out on this?
Yeah, if you give me a mulligan, and I'm probably going to change it next week, even if they win, I'm going to take BYU out of there. Okay. I don't think look, they've had an incredible season undefeated. They've been so lucky. I talked earlier about Georgia's touchdown drives, when you kind of go inside the box score a little bit more. BYU has been probably the most fortunate team. They've had a number of defensive touchdowns, 95-yard or 91-yard punt return to win a game. That stuff is not going to happen week in, week out. I think they lose. I think they shuffle out. I think another team, maybe in Indiana, maybe an LSU, or excuse me, maybe an Alabama or an Ole Miss, get up into that 11 spot. So those are the ones I'd look at. I think ultimately the Big 12 only gets one. I think the ACC gets two. The Group 5 gets third champ, and then the rest will be SEC, Big 10. One thing that I don't know that I've been asked about a lot, and I don't know that no one knows the answer, because basically keep in mind when you're watching these the selection committee shows, it's a beauty pageant. Okay, they may think somebody looks good, you may not think they look good. It doesn't matter. Their opinion is the one that counts. By the way, the first selection committee rankings come out pretty significant day. Election night. So the world Twitter will incinerate that night. What is the committee going to do? Indiana loses to Ohio State. Indiana's 11-1. You're comparing 11-1 Indiana with no top 25 wins with the loss to Ohio State. Maybe competitive, maybe won't be. How are you going to compare 11-1 Indiana against a 9-3 SEC or Big Ten team,
right,
with multiple top 25 losses, and probably depending on which team, they will have a top 25, at least one top 25 win, maybe two. How are they going to rate those teams? I don't have an answer for that. All I know is in the past 10 years of the college football playoff selection committee rankings, one thing stood out more than anything else. They talk about all their metrics, all their statistics, you go on and on and on, all the minutia that they say they consider. One thing carried more weight than anything else every single year, and that was the loss column. The fewer number you add in the loss column, you got in the playoff. The only exception was Florida State. Not getting in undefeated, but all of America saw what Florida State looked like when they lost their stud quarterback, and they simply could not move the ball on offense. That's the only time a team that had fewer losses was not chosen by the selection committee. Will they keep that same, strategy or mindset? We don't know, because it's a different group every year. But that's something to keep an eye on, and we don't know how that's going to play out. And I think ultimately, how the committee rates those schools is how the Big Ten and the SEC determine how they're going to schedule non-conference games in the future. If they're going to reward a 9-3 team that played a much tougher schedule than an 11-1 Indiana, and look, I don't mean to take shots at Indiana. Mm-hmm. They're in the position they are. Or if you're going to reward, 11-1 Army or 11-1 Navy over a 9-3 Big Ten SEC team that played, 5 top 25 teams and lost 3 games, then those conferences have no incentive to play each other because they know they're going to get penalized. However, if they put in those teams with more losses that played the tougher schedules, then we're going to see more quality non-conference games, like Michigan and Texas and those sort of things. So everybody's kind of in a wait and see mode right now. And, it's just remember, people watching, as frustrated as you are, there's no magic formula. There's no silver bullet. It's basically someone's opinion on who they think is the best. They say it's the eye test. It's not the eye test, it's the eye test. What do I think are the best teams? And that ultimately will determine who gets in this thing.
Yeah, it's a great point, Brett, because there was a lot of conversation they expand like, oh, we're going to see a 3-loss team in there before you know it. And then we get the news that the Big Ten and the SEC, they're trying to do what basketball does. Hey, we want to create this where we're going to have these out-of-conference games every year and this matchup type of thing. Well, you're right. If you sit there and you see a team like Alabama's already got 2, might have 3, and they're not, and again, I think that's where the final rankings will be interesting. If they're way gone, they're not even close, then all these teams are going to go, no, we're fine beating up on Western Michigan and Akron, and we'll get to our Big Ten Big Ten schedule, and we'll be just fine and cakewalk our way in. Let me ask you off that, Brett, what do you think is better for college football? Do you think it is better to incentivize these teams for these out-of-conference games, or to say, with all of this conference change, listen, we're going to have to go through some bad games, but you're going to have big marquee matchups in October and November and December with the way these conferences go. What do you think is better for college football?
I guess it's what your definition of better is. And by that, I mean, if it's for the betterment of the 134 teams in college football, then I think it's better that the power conferences play the Western Michigans and the San Jose States of the world in the non-conference play. If the betterment of college football consists strictly of crowning the best team and rewarding fans with the best TV matchups, the most intriguing matchups, and the people that are paying money to go to these games, I mean, you see it in stadiums all over the country. They'll fill up a stadium, when Ohio State plays Oregon, or when Texas plays Michigan. But when Alabama plays Mercer, that's not happening. So if teams can play these power teams in the non-conference and they're not penalized for the playoff, you'll see more of those games. It'll bring in monster TV ratings. But, unfortunately, an offshoot of that is you're going to, I don't want to say it's dead, but you're gonna kill off the Group 5.
Yeah,
they're pretty much, they're rearranging the deck of the Titanic right now. That's unfortunate. I hate that. But that's what conference realignment has done to the entire college football landscape. I think at some point the power leagues, and whether that's a power 2 or a power 3 or a power 4, they split off and they kind of do their own thing. I think that's a number of years down the road. So I guess it's kind of where your rooting interest is on what's better for college football to answer that. But certainly both situations have consequences that impact the other. And finally, real quick, it's tough because if I'm, Greg Sankey of the SEC or Tony Batiti of the Big Ten, is it your goal or is it your duty to make sure the other 7 or 8 conferences survive? Technically, no. You're supposed to do what, if you're Greg Sankey, you're supposed to do what's best for the SEC and what the SEC presidents put you in charge of doing. And that's making the most money you can for the SEC and, doing everything involved with that conference. So everybody's kind of in their own silo, but by doing that, it has a trickle-down effect and it impacts these smaller conferences. So that's why, everyone's like, we need a college football commissioner. That ain't happening, folks. Greg Sankey and Tony Batiti are not going to say, hey, you know what? Let's get Randy over here and let's make him our boss. So now he's in charge of all of college football. That's not happening. So that's kind of sort of the difficulties in trying to figure out what these power conferences do going forward as far as scheduling, is because it not only does it impact their conference, but it also, could negatively affect these smaller schools who would no longer have these big paydays to come to Ann Arbor, come to Columbus and play those guys.
And potentially get the win. Look what happened for Northern Illinois and all these other teams that we would lose.
Watch out, they may win.
Yeah, you never know. Yep. Final thing, Brett, you've been so gracious with your time, but it brought it up, and I just want to ask, I'm a big believer in the Chip Kelly model, where he says, let's send off the Power 5, and they're in their own thing, and it's the top 50 or whatever it is, teams here, and then you have your group of 5 that plays for a separate national championship. And if teams want to bounce back and forth, almost like soccer relegation type thing, I'm a big believer in that. Brett, just your thoughts on that, or where do you think, even like you said, years and years down the road, what eventually do you think might happen with these differences in schools?
Ultimately, the short answer is follow the money. Whatever makes the most money is what they'll do. I mean, Nick Saban has been a proponent of the Power 5 conference schools just playing games against each other. He wants it more like the NFL.
Yeah.
He wants it where a team can go, well, in the NFL, 8-8, 9-8, whatever, how many games they're up to. So the college teams could go, 8-4, 7-5, and then they all get into the playoffs. So you're not penalized for losing one game. You're not penalized. Again, what I talked about earlier, is a 9-3 team going to be penalized for playing a tougher schedule than 11-1 Indiana or 11-1 Army or 11-1 Navy? We don't know. We'll have to find out. But I think ultimately, because what makes the most money will win out, we will see some kind of model where all the power schools, and I don't know who those power schools are going to be. Teams that currently are power schools may not be power schools in the future.
Point, yeah.
Or schools that are out of it may make their way into the power mix, if you will.
Yeah, I
think ultimately that happens down the road.
Yeah, I didn't know Clemson much until Dabo got there, right? Like, there's all this turnover, exactly. Which is crazy. Brett, amazing stuff. Really appreciate it. Go follow him on Twitter at Brett_McMurphy. You can always check him out on the Action Network. Awesome stuff. Enjoy the games this weekend, and maybe we'll try to get you on as we get closer to conference championships, all right?
Sounds good. Thank you.
There he goes. I love Brett McMurphy, man. He's so good. I've been following him for a long time. Really appreciate his work. I think as far as the college football goes, he's one of the best. He really is. He's got all that insight, just so many things to grab onto there on how this 12 team changes everything. And I think just again to go back to his top, his projection where, again, Ohio State fans being as bougie as we are, like, oh, what, the 5 seed? And it's like, actually, that might be better. That might be better that you don't have to play Oregon again. Because just look at this for a second, Ryan. I know you're an Ohio State fan, but follow me on this, all right? The way he's got it, you got 5-12 Ohio State Army. That's going to be a 30-point spread, all right?
Yo, chill on Army.
I'm sorry to our great men and women that defend our country. God bless you.
I'm just saying, I know that would, a lot of people listen to our show, and you especially, that would be a nightmare for you. I would come in the next day on the show.
Just wait.
I might enlist. I might enlist at that point.
You run out of time. Well, I think you're up to 35. I think you can. Whatever. So you get past that. Then it would be Ohio State, Iowa State. I think that's a 17.5-point spread there. But then you got to play Oregon in the semifinal if it plays out the way that Brett has it on his prediction. Do you really want to play them for a third time in the season? Do you really want to play them I would say a couple of weeks, but about a month after you face them in the Big Ten Championship, where you could take your break,
right?
You get a cakewalk against Army, and then you play a solid game against Iowa State. You might be better prepared. You might be better to go on. So that's where I think Brett's so right about the 5 isn't all that bad. You're at home. All that can factor in as well. And like he said, I think this all circles back to, should you value a 3-loss SEC team versus a 1-loss other team? And as I said with Brett, I'm a child of the BCS. I love the BCS, and I frankly think it should come back, but they won't ever do that. So if I've got that mindset, I have to value a 9-3 Alabama over an 11-1 Indiana. I just have to. Now, you mean everybody know what? If they were to play, and I know, like you said, Curtis Rourke out, but like, if they were to play, they're going to get smoked. They're going to get absolutely smoked. Like, no offense to Army, no offense to that game, you're probably getting smoked. So it's like what are we doing? What's the point?
You could just do the Cincinnati Bearcat method and go undefeated.
Well, that's the other thing. And Cincinnati, showed up for the one game, did they not?
They whooped Notre Dame.
They did.
In South Bend.
And I think Brett's so interesting here. He does not have Tennessee make it. He does not have Notre Dame making it. He does not have Alabama making it. While Army does, and like I said, he probably wants the reprieve on BYU. All the rest of his teams, I'm buying. I'm buying Oregon as the 1 seed. I'm buying Georgia at the 2. Your other conference championships will be Miami and Iowa State. Maybe Clemson could steal that away from Miami, but maybe not. Then Miami would just make it as the 8 seed where Clemson is. LSU Clemson, I'm all in on LSU making it. Ohio State's making it. Penn State, probably. I ain't putting any bad ill will over there on Ohio and Medina County's own Drew Aller, but I think they're losing Ohio State. I think they're losing Oregon. And I think they got another game on them because it's James Franklin, man. So I could see them slipping out. And then Texas A&M in Texas, right? So then you open it up maybe for that Tennessee. Again, I'm not buying Indiana. I'm sorry. Does Kansas State get up there? You mentioned Ole Miss. Pitt is still undefeated. It's going to be a lot of fun. And it's fun as an Ohio State fan to sit here and say, you feel borderline locked, right? And Brett brought up a great point. The AP, Ohio State is 4. Iowa State is 10. Let's say it ended that way. Iowa State is still getting the bye. And they still, are going to be the 4 seed playing a 5 seed. That's where you got to kind of take the seeding out of a little bit. But that's where it is so interesting to look at the committee and ask them, what are you doing here? What do you want? If I could sit down and just shake the committee and go, what do you want? Truly, what do you want? You want it to feel like you want to value the Armies, and Indiana. You want them to feel like they're a part of this, or do you really just want to put Alabama in there? Do you really just want to put Tennessee in there? And that comes back to what we wrapped up with Brett. Just cut it, man. Don't call it for what it is. Call it for what it is. Power 5 plays for one national championship, group of 5 plays for another. Now, his Saban idea of making, and his whole point about that was have good on good every week and play it like a regular season in the NFL where everybody makes the playoffs with a couple of losses. Rarely do you going to hear 16-0 Patriots and all that. Let everybody play everybody, but then that's when Kent State would go under. That's when Western Michigan would cancel their football program. But still let the carryover. Ohio State and Alabama and Oregon and all these other teams, they like those games. You want to know why? It gets guys in there so they don't transfer. You got a backup guy that you're like, this kid's going to be good. We just don't got a spot for him right now. He gets to play a lot of this game. And he gets to feel it right now and here. That stadium is still pretty full, and they're making money on that. And they pay their money to these teams. That is a huge chunk of their athletic, I almost said booster, their athletic budget for the year. They need that. You can still keep that and then just call it for what it is and divide it on out. The thing is, how do you separate teams that are going back and forth? I would imagine this year, Ryan, Army would have started in the group of 5. Well, look at where they're at now. Can mid-season they go, wait a minute, wait. We want to go up now. We want to go up to the power. You're like, nah, sorry, you made your declaration before the season. That's the only negative I have on that Chip Kelly model. That's the only thing I don't like, is if you have a team that is truly dominant. But what I don't want to see, remember when UCF was undefeated? And everybody's bitching about them getting in, or Coastal Carolina.
Oh,
dude,
do I remember
that? We all know. We all know. And I think eventually they're not even knocking your Bearcats. Bearcats were in a power conference. Well, eventually got there, but they were owning it. They were playing well, and they deserved to go, and they did.
Facts.
There you go. There's
they got a big matchup this Saturday. You know who they play?
No.
Dion.
Really?
Colorado.
I'll take the Bearcats on that. What's the line? You got the line?
I think it's Colorado 5.5.
5.5. All right, I'll listen to that.
But I'm just saying, don't look now. Don't look now. But Cincinnati is fifth in the Big Ten, or excuse me, the Big 12. They're 3-1 in the conference. They got games coming up against Colorado, BYU, and Iowa State.
Well, there you go. You win those, you're back in.
Oh, could you imagine?
You win those. You win all those, and maybe we'll get right there, buddy. Maybe we'll get right there.
I would be intolerable.
Yeah, not that you're not all right. All right, we move on. Here we go. Great stuff with Brett McMurphy. You missed it. Go back to our app, the full interview. What I love about the Big Play app, our interviews are sliced up in there. So you want to just check out what Brett McMurphy had to say, go to the Big Play app, download it today. It is free. We're working on the streaming, so you can watch our show live in there every single day, but you can always catch it. iOS, get it for the Roku TV. We got it all for you there. We're streaming on YouTube, Big Play Network. We're also up on Instagram there and streaming every morning on our Twitter side of things, at Matt Fontana Show. Great stuff there. Catch our break. When we come back, morning update, and we got our Cavs season predictions coming out. I've got over-under statistics statisticals. Do you want over-under for Donovan Mitchell points this year? How much do you think he averages? We'll get to all that for the Cavs. We'll make our wagers for tonight as they're taking on the Raptors. Exciting as basketball is back. We'll get to the grid. We'll get to the bracket. We got timeout. We got it all for you. Hour 2 upon us. Stay with us.
I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage Beer. Beer-flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like ass. I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer-flavored beer.
Well, how do they know I'm doing this? Did somebody leak this out?
It's social media.
Oh.
It's just that's the way social media works now.
I thought maybe you were just running that yap.
Hi everyone, Tim Kitzer from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz. You're listening to
And I think they got 11 last year because we were just riding the highs of Flacco fever and the crazy run that they went on in the second half of the season this year. I'm going to go with 10-7 as my Browns record prediction. I'll take a game away. I agree wholeheartedly with what Bruce said, that this division is brutal, and the Browns are going to have to take care of business early on in this season because they don't catch a divisional game until like week 7 or week 8. So you got to beat Dallas. You got to win some of these winnable games early, so that way you've got a little bit of a cushion in the AFC North when those games begin. I'll go 10-7 for the Browns this year.
I don't buy into this nonsense, this conspiracy nonsense that he's got his money and he's dogging it. That's ridiculous.
They're off in the Kentucky Derby as Authentic takes them around the far turn. Tis the Laws making his move now, and they're into the stretch. These two stride for stride. Authentic, Tis the Law. Here's the wire. Authentic has won the Kentucky Derby.
All right, welcome back. Fontana Show right here on Big Play, streaming on Twitter, X at Matt Fontana Show. You can always subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is just at Big Play, and then you can also do that same on the Instagram side of things. Busy hour 2. Here's where we're at. Go through the morning update. We'll mess around with the grid. Then I think, honestly, Ryan, let's jump right into time hop, and then we got nothing but Cavs the rest of the way to go. I've got our statistical over-unders. I've got our odds for this, where we think we're going to finish in the East. All of it on a Cavs season opener tonight. Plenty to come. Happy to have you alongside. Ryan's got the morning update. Sometimes I ask you to put stories in here. I don't know why I've been inundated with this over and over again. Is Aaron Rodgers eating a booger on the sidelines? And I tweeted about it because I know Jim Harbaugh was like, There's a video very clearly of Aaron Rodgers picking his nose and the slight little in the mouth. Why?
He's just boosting his immune system.
Is there something I'm missing on this? My son is 3. You know, it's one of his favorite things to start doing now? He loves eating his boogers. Ew. He's 3. Ew. He's 3. And I try to be like, dude, please don't do that for the love of God. Why do adults eat boogers? It's like, it's not like a, open to interpretation. Aaron Rodgers, and trust, we all pick our nose. All right, put in a Kleenex, throw it out your car window. All right, that's what you're supposed to do.
Ew. You just wouldn't understand a complex man like him.
It's an ayahuasca. Is it close? Then, they got Baker, too. They caught him throwing a little Zen action in on the sideline.
Yeah, of course. I would throw Zen in every time I play.
I can't tell. I don't want to expose people. You don't know how much tobacco use there is on an NFL sideline.
Who cares?
There are players that they bring the duffel bags out, and I see them. They grab that tin, they throw one in, they throw it. I mean, it's against the rules. You're not supposed to do that.
Why?
There's an NFL rule because they used to get on Harbaugh for the NFL. Or I'm sorry, for the NCAA. The NCAA had the same rule. And you look at him, he's got a big old chaw in. He's not supposed to do that. Why they let him do it, I don't know. And then they caught Baker, which was also, it wasn't even in like another tin. You could tell it was in.
Bro lost his top 2 receivers. He deserves it.
He deserves to have one. Throw an upper decker in and you get back out there and figure it out. But all that aside, Booger Eaton and Zins, here we are. Name for a good podcast.
Eating boogers with Booger.
Get Booger McFarland and Stink. Mark Schlereth all in that. Here we go. Ryan's got the morning update. Didn't know we'd take it there, but here we are. Ryan.
Cavaliers open their season tonight in the Great North. They're at Toronto, 7:30 p.m. tip-off. Cleveland opens up this game as a 6.5-point favorite. Matt, are you taking that line?
Done.
Originally opened as a 3.5.
Because money's flowing in on the Cavs, baby. I don't know what to tell you. Who do the Raptors even have? Scotty Barnes. Good player. Great. I wanted to say, is OG Anunoby there? No, he's not, right? Is Barrett still there?
Dude, I don't know.
I don't even know. Here's their depth chart. Manuel Quickly, Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett is still there.
Oh, they got Emmanuel Quickly.
Yeah, but RJ Barrett, he's out. Not playing. Oh, they have Jakob Poeltl. He's pretty good. And then they have Ochai Agbaji, former Cavalier draft pick. They suck. They're not good. Now, I look at this because we're going to do this about win totals going through. The Cavs over-unders at 48.5. We'll place our wagers on that a little bit later, but just for an idea, the Raptors are 29.5. They're 20 games behind us. They finished with 25 wins a year ago. Raptors suck. 6.5 is a sucker bet. You go ahead and take the Cavs. Done and done. We have plenty of wine and gold to go, but I can't tell you. And that's why we are so lucky to be in this town, to have 3 major teams. You've got minor league hockey. You've got minor league baseball. We've got Ohio State. My Jackets, Blue Jackets, big one last night.
Are they good?
I hope so. I don't know. They smoked the Maple Leafs last night, which was great. But I love it, man. Because the Cavs, it's not like a release right now because obviously the Browns we're still going to watch. I'm still going to watch. The Guardians season was great, but it's over. But it's just like the renewal. It's a new season. You still have Donovan Mitchell. I'm excited to see Evan Mobley. Yeah, the Max Strus injury sucks. But I love it. I love it. And basketball is not my favorite sport. I will tell you that. Basketball, there's nothing in this world I hate more than college basketball. Basketball is not necessarily my sport, but you can still respect the NBA, and I just love a new season. I already signed up for my FanDuel Sports Network account, paying good money for that now moving forward. But I'm excited for tonight. Cavs are back. We'll get to our plays a little bit later, certainly about the Cavs, but season long as well. I love it, man. I just love it. I love having games that during the day we can do the show, sit at home, and I'm just like, dude, I can't wait for tonight. 7 o'clock, right? Not 7:30, 7 o'clock, right?
No, 7:30.
It is 7:30. Damn Canadians.
Well, what did I just say?
Did you say 7:30?
I think so. I'm on my next story now, man.
Oh, I'm sorry. 7:30. Damn Canadians. Why did a half hour? But I'm excited for tonight. Let's go, Cavs!
Alrighty, well, a very memorable night for the Los Angeles Lakers. Not only do they get the win over the Minnesota Timberwolves, but they make history as LeBron James and his son Bronny James become the first father-son duo to share the basketball court together.
Okay.
Also in attendance, of course, Ken Griffey Sr. and Ken Griffey Jr., the first father and son duo to play Major League Baseball together.
I saw a headline of LeBron needs to stop his dog and pony show. Shut the f up, okay? This is cool. I don't care if you're not a LeBron fan or not. And also, what did he play last night? Bronny played 3 minutes and went 0-2 from the field. Just leave it alone, all right? And then you could hear LeBron. I should have just pulled this up. His post game that sounded like that game. I don't think it'll erase championships or anything like that, but you could hear it coming through with LeBron. He gave a lot to this game, right? And he's missed things with his family. And again, he's made $1 bajillion and all that kind of stuff. I understand. But like, you know me and being a sucker for a parent thing here. Yeah. The proud part of it, the excitement. Like, I cannot for a second entertain people that want to crap on this. First off, it's not that big of a deal. So, you said it, the Lakers gave up this draft pick. Shut up. It's cool. I'm going to watch, and I'm excited to see it. Good for LeBron. I think it's fun to watch. You see the prank with the Fruity Pebbles there?
No.
He filled Bronny's car with Fruity Pebbles.
I don't have time for childish games.
It was cool. I liked it. Thank God I didn't bet last night because I was like, Timberwolves, like they'll smoke that out. And oh my God. Oh, maybe I put that cart a little bit out of the horse there on the Knicks. Oh God. Whoa!
I was about to say
ass whooping.
Well, Matt Fontana's prediction that the New York Knicks will be the 1 seed in the East is not up to the greatest start,
already.
But it's a very long season. Boston, the returning champions, they get their win 132-109 versus the New York Knicks in the Garden. Or excuse me, in what is it? The
TD Garden.
TD Garden,
yeah.
not
Madison Square Garden.
Garden.
TD Garden.
What happened, though, the Celtics made an NBA
different.
tying record, 29 three-pointers in that victory. They couldn't quite break the record.
But everybody goes, oh, Jason Tatum got unlocked, man. Steve Kerr really pissed off Jason Tatum. No, man, the Celtics are studs. They're really good. I truthfully did not see that butt whooping coming there last night. I don't know. It's one game. They had their rings. They got their banner put up. It was an all-exciting night. But again, watching basketball, I don't know. My mind works in weird ways of like, we now have to adjust. Where, again, I know last time was opening night on a Tuesday, but it's like the adjustment of NBC in the fold, the adjustment of more national games, like how that's all going to work from a viewing standpoint is really going to be interesting. This is a bit of a side, though. Did you see ESPN's ratings for their ESPN Plus only game between the Cardinals and the Chargers Monday night? Oh, my God. It was so bad.
They
didn't even put it in the report.
Who'd have thought?
They averaged 1.8 million. They averaged 1.8 million viewers for that game. Now, first off, two not great teams, which I get. And I will tell you this. I'm a good, I don't know what's the word you're looking for here. I'm a good primer, right? I'm a football fan. I have ESPN Plus. Ryan, I didn't turn that game on for a second because I wanted to watch the Bucks and the Ravens. That's what I wanted to watch. And I think there will be a course correction in some of this with everybody going streaming and everybody's doing this and you got to pay for this and get. Eventually, yeah, it'll come back where they're all going to make money off of you and me. Did you see that number that they put out of like the cost it'll be for the NFL fan to watch every game this year? It's over $1,000.
Yeah.
$1,000, And again, I pay for now YouTube TV. So here's what I got to pay for YouTube TV so I can watch the regular games. Then I got to pay for internet so I can watch YouTube TV. Then I have to have Peacock. Then I already pay for ESPN Plus. I already have Prime. And again, it's a means to an end, right? Who doesn't have Amazon Prime in today's day and age, right? Everybody does. So it's just crazy to see how that all plays out. But it was just kind of a shift for me last night. Now that the NBA is back, we're going to get more national games than you've ever seen. More than you've ever seen. Moving forward. Season's back, man. It's a lot of fun.
Alrighty, well, history just seems to follow Shohei Ohtani everywhere he goes after becoming the first player in Major League Baseball history to join the 50-50 club. That's, of course, 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases in a season, Matt. That 50th home run ball sold for a record $4.392 million at the auction. That passes the previous record, which was Mark McGwire's record-breaking 70th home run ball from the 1998 season. That sold for $3 million in 1999.
So that was interesting because I saw early projections of like 2.4, and they thought it might go down from there, and obviously it blows out of the water. That kid that caught it, good for him, man. Even beyond the auction price, the auction fees and taxes and all that kind of stuff, you caught a baseball, and that's life-changing money. Could you imagine? Do you know the video? You see the other guy that didn't catch it and like the deject on his face? Like, that's pretty bad. I understand the memorabilia. By the way, we got news on Dorian Thompson-Robinson here in a second. I understand the memorabilia world, and I'm in no way, shape, or form a millionaire. And there are things that I would like if I had millions of dollars and like a Batman 1 came across the table, which is worth millions of dollars. Then I go, oh, of course. What's that baseball do for you? You know, like if you're a giant Dodgers fan, you're like because you buy that more often than not of it being a investment. You assume that ball will go up in value, especially if Shohei goes on to win. You know, again, we saw the Babe Ruth jersey from The Shot and all that kind of stuff. Even baseball cards, even football cards. They're just cards, but it's people's hobby. You know the one thing? I don't know why. I get hooked on these videos online. And it is a world that I know nothing about, but I'm so intrigued. Sneakers. You ever see that guy? And he's everywhere. And he sits at his table, and somebody brings up a box, and he opens it. And again, I know nothing of this. And he goes, oh, these are the Travis Scott ones. And he hits the bottom of the shoe, and he looks at it. He goes, all right, it's not fake. He goes, what do you want? And they go, $1,000. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And he goes, these market for $1,000. I'll give you $750. And then they do coin flips. That kind of, like, it's just different for everybody, I guess. I could never imagine paying. I think the most expensive pair of shoes I have are like $150, and they're like dress shoes, and I never wear them. The shoes I have on my feet, Ryan, are $45. You know the shoes I'll have for next year? I have a cycle. Do you know my shoe cycle?
Why would I know that?
I don't know. I buy new shoes in the spring. I wear those shoes spring, summer, fall, and then in the winter, they become my yard working shoes. And then I buy new shoes in the spring, and that's just my cycle every year. The shoes I have on my feet are $45. I bought a pair of shoes at Costco. That'll be my shoes for next year. I just thousands of dollars for shoes. Whatever. I don't see it. Same thing kind of with Shohei's ball. I mean, it kind of works. You assume it's going to be investment. Quick update on Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Mary Kay Cabot. Thompson Robinson will not need surgery on his injured middle finger, but he will be limited for a while by pain and an inability to grip the ball. Sources tell Cleveland.com. And she also confirms the reports that Jameis Winston will start Sunday against the Ravens. So that's from Mary Kay. So no surgery for DTR, but he's going to miss some time with pain.
She also tweeted about Deshaun's surgery.
What did she say on that?
It's on her Twitter.
Okay, hang on a second.
I looked at it earlier.
There was the debate on him doing the quick bridge one versus the full repair.
Getting surgery Friday, I believe.
Okay, and he's going with that doctor from the Packers?
Yes.
Deshaun Watson will have ruptured Achilles tendon repaired on Friday, but Packers team physician Dr. Robert Anderson, surgery should be about a 9-month recovery. So that sounds like he's going for the full one, which is the right thing to do. And 9 months from now, where does that put you? Basically 2 months left in this, July. So that's right about training camp. They'll start him on PUP. I don't think they get full season IR him. He'll file a grievance. But like you PUP him, you just kind of tell him to go away. We'll see. I don't know. Go sit on your couch, make $70 million. What a world, buddy. Do we get paid for the grid? Can we get paid for the grid? You can get paid from the grid. If we get all 5 days, you will get a prize out there.
That's true.
We're on day 3. Ace out. We haven't used Wordle yet. Today might be the day. I don't know. All right, let's knock it out. Go. 9 minutes.
10 sacks, Broncos, Vonathan Miller.
Vonathan. Okay. We always go Calais Campbell here, right? But did he get it with the Jags? Josh Hines-Allen has got to be the answer, right? He's got to have it, right?
I would imagine.
If we miss it, then that's just okay, because we just got to accept that.
Is it not?
Did you search Hines-Allen? Did it update there? Because there he is. Yes. Okay.
Aiden Hutchinson.
I would assume so. Very much assume so. Game is on, my friend. Game is on. All right, Broncos Patriots. What's screaming to me there?
Wes Welker.
Yes. Good. 72%. Yes, that would be the answer there.
Jaguars. No.
What were you thinking?
Jonnu Smith.
I don't hate it, but I think we can come up with something better.
No, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work, you sure? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought Austin Hooper there for a second, but he never played Jacksonville, did he?
Patriots, Lions, is that not Danny Amendola?
Yes, it would be. Yes, you're very correct on that. Okay. All right, Patriots, Jags. I'd like to just ace that one out right now. Blake Bortles never went up to New England. like Jamie Collins. Oh, Jamie Collins actually would have worked for Patriots Lions too. This is a weird one, but I don't know. Did Fred Taylor, the running back, did he go up to New England? I want to say yes for some reason, but I think we can come up with something better there. Leonard Fournette never went to New England.
No, I thought about that.
Yeah.
Carlos Hyde, I don't think ever played in New England.
No. Quarterbacks, Jacoby Brissett never played down there. Garoppolo, Hoyer, no.
Nick Foles never played for the Patriots, did he?
No. Good call, but no. Mark Brunell?
You love Mark.
I do love Mark Brunell. You think I'd be better about what teams he played for? What about Vinny? Vinny, maybe Vinny Testaverde?
Should we just go to Steelers?
Yeah, let's go over to the Steelers. All right, Steelers, Broncos. I wanted to say TJ Ward for a second, but I don't think he ever played in Pittsburgh. All right, Mitch Trubisky doesn't work for any of those. What?
Dangerous.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's right. That is correct. Resurgence Russ is where we're at right now. Good call. All right, Jags Steelers.
Allen Robinson.
Allen Robinson is correct. Look at you today. You're really on it today. You're on it today. All right, Lions Steelers. Alex Anzalone never played in Pittsburgh, did he? I feel like there's a linebacker working for this, but I don't know. I don't think so. Lions Steelers. James Harrison never played in Detroit, I don't think. I don't know. I want to picture it, but I don't think that's right. All right, D'Angelo Williams.
I was just thinking that. That's so funny.
D'Angelo Williams, I don't think so. Obviously not Bettis. He came from the Rams. Le'Veon Bell, no. Quarterbacks, I think. What about... no, I don't think kickers work. Oh, maybe Chris Gardocki.
I don't know.
I want to picture him in a Lions uniform bad. Okay. Obviously not Juju. Tight ends, like not Heath Miller. Lineman. That's a tough one. You're not using many quarterbacks, which is a little crazy here. Did Tommy Maddox play for Detroit? Not enough. I want to rip it. Not enough. I'd like to rip it there. You've done the heavy lifting. This is on me. I got to step up here. Steelers Lions. Cordell Patterson never played in Detroit. Ty Montgomery, I don't think ever played in Pittsburgh. There's also, I mean, like, for as long as those teams have been around, there's got to be historical ones that we're missing here, but it's not usually our forte here. Okay. Browns that have gone to either place. Larry Ogunjobi, Joe Hayden.
All right, well, should we shift over to...
We can. I'm just not going to be able to get off of Mark Brunell there. But again, I don't know if he ever played in New England. Oh! Oh. Does Clavin Chasen work there? No, he's he's with the Raiders. But I want to picture him in New England so bad, but I don't think so. Here's
Yikes.
Yep, yikes is correct. Chandler Jones, no. Calais Campbell, no. Yannick Ngakoue? I don't think he ever went to New England.
Was like Paul Kruger, Paul Pelesny.
No, I don't ever think they ever went to New England.
Who was that one dude with Allen Robinson? Sidney no. Who was the receiver on Jacksonville with Allen Robinson? I can't remember his name.
I got nothing.
What was his name? Wasn't Dante Moncrief, was it?
No, I remember him in Indy. I know he played in Jacksonville, but I don't.
Did he play in Detroit by chance?
No, because he did play in Pittsburgh too, right? I don't think so.
And there's a Lions receiver I'm forgetting too.
I kind of like
Golden
Clavich.
Tate. He didn't play in Pittsburgh at all, did he?
I don't know. That's actually a good call. He might have. I don't think so. I kind of like Calais Chase in there.
For which one?
For the one that we're on. For Jags Steelers.
What is it?
Or Jags Patriots. It's like K apostrophe. Right there, Calais Chasen. What year was he drafted?
2020 to 2024. Who is that?
He's a former first-round pick. It's kind of a bust.
Did Alex Leatherwood ever play for? I don't know. AJ Bouye, remember him?
Bouye, yeah, I remember him. He got that fat contract. Jimmy Smith, I don't think worked. And now you got me second guessing Chasen. I don't. Damn.
Mike Wallace, did he ever play for Detroit?
I don't think so.
Martavis Bryant?
No. Josh Gordon never played in Jacksonville, right? No. No.
I don't think so.
I don't know, man.
Vince Wilfork? Matthew Judon?
No. Dude. Oh, my God. James White? No.
Danny Woodhead? No.
Danny Woodhead? No. I don't know. I almost feel better about ripping Mark Brunell, but I don't. I know he's Packers. I know. I don't. Maybe Vinny. Oh my God. I don't know. This one sucked. This one sucked.
Any kickers?
That's what I was trying to think. I mean,
Gostowski?
I don't think he went to Jacksonville.
No.
Joey Sly, I don't think ever kicked in Pittsburgh. Like Greg Joseph.
N'Keal Harry, where'd he go?
I don't know. It's a good question. Don't know. Dude.
You just rip something?
Yeah.
What do you want to rip?
I don't even know. Shoot. I guess try Calais Chasen. I don't like it, but
like, who even is that?
I just, yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna. Fred Taylor. Didn't you say that?
I said Fred Taylor.
And Charlie Batch.
That. Scroll down. We got to get some other names on that. I did say Fred Taylor. I thought there was a chance he went up there.
Which one do you want to
Just scroll down the 2 that we missed. I want to see what other names pop up.
And that was Steelers.
Steelers, Lions. Go back up. There you go. Steelers, Lions.
Steelers, Lions is
not a lot.
I mean, LeGarrette Blount. I almost said that. Charlie Batch.
I want to remember that.
I don't recognize anybody else.
All right. Receivers? Anything? Nothing?
Oh, Eric Ebron, bro.
Oh, yeah, that's bad on us.
Yeah.
That's bad on us with Eric Ebron.
Yeah, that's gonna be in the chat. That's be in the
bad.
chat.
All right, go back to the other one. Jags.
There's only 47. So Fred Taylor, Malcolm Brown. Dude.
What?
Mac Jones.
Oh my God, you're right.
Jermichael Hasty, Jonas Gray, Dante Moncrief.
You were right. You brought up Deontay Moncrief. You did.
Oh my God.
You did. All right, quickly over to Wordle. We got to take some Cavs, buddy.
Oh, I forgot about Wordle.
We got to do Wordle.
I forget we got.
Let's keep this alive. Keep that alive. Damn it. Ebron will bother me. The other one, yeah, Mac Jones we should have got. How do we not think about Mac Jones?
All right, where do you want to start?
You've been on Joint. I don't know why Joint came to mind.
Oh, that sounds good right now.
Okay.
Loads.
All right.
I'm just typing in letters. So
Oh,
if you
okay.
think of something.
I was gonna say
Hover.
Okay, hover works. Dude, what are we doing? Okay. B-O. Try M-O. Okay, mower doesn't work. Mover doesn't work. Dude. This actually helps because we should have a lot of letters off here right now. That helps us. W-O? No. It's not, yeah. I think it's got to be something O-M. Or I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Something O-M.
Well, we could try cough, but I know it's not right because it's not an H, but we would use.
That's fine. Well, I'll run that.
G.
Okay, so G-O. Unless it ends with a G.
Man.
Dude, what is this?
It could be O-O something.
I hope not. You're right. It probably is. B-O-O-M. But it's not like S. It's not like booms. Boomy? I don't know. I don't think that's a word.
Booby?
I mean, it is. I don't know how you... All right, so you're okay.
Okay, so... Oh my God, we can't lose Wordle.
I know. Poopy? I mean, that's I can't like M-O-O-P-Y?
Poofy? It could be poofy.
What the hell's poothy? I don't think that's a word.
Poofy, like my hair is poofy.
Oh. See, now we're in the box because you're right. It might be poofy.
No, let's see if we can come up with anything else. Moopy? No.
No. It's nothing with K. I don't think there's anything with Z.
What a word.
I think that's our best.
Wordle's unreal.
That's our best shot. Right?
Unless it's poopy.
That's the only other one I thought of. And that just describes why we're here, because we're so bad at the grid. It's got to be poofy.
I would shit myself.
That'd be funny if it was poofy. There you go. Perfect.
Unless it's bookie. No.
No, there's no K. There's no B. There's no B.
It's got to be
Pookie?
Or foopy. No.
That's not a word. That's not a word.
Or
Woofy?
Moopy?
Woofy? W-O-F-Y? Woofy?
It's got to be poofy.
All right, hit it. Damn it!
Goofy!
Goofy!
Wow. Wow. Bro, why would Wordle do that?
Damn it!
Oh, Charles said Goofy. Yep, Eric Ebron, Mac Jones, Charlie Batch, Fred Taylor.
No! Damn. I need to go home and do my research on Mark Brunell. I always bring him up. I need to shut up about him so I can remember. Washington, obviously. Green Bay, I remember. Jacksonville. Green Bay, Jacksonville, Washington, Saints, and Jets. Remember that?
Wait, did we have the G? Did we?
Wait, what?
Wait.
What?
Did we have the G already confirmed as a letter?
I don't know why.
Because then we would have known it was Goofy.
Yeah, I thought... No, I don't think so. I think it was open. Do we even look at G? I don't remember.
We need to watch the tape.
Go back. Watch it on YouTube. Go back in here real quick.
I need to... Hold on. I need to refresh it.
Refresh. And just go back. Yeah, a couple minutes.
No, we didn't have G.
There you go.
Oh, we did!
What?
We had confirmed from Koff that G was a letter.
Oh my God, we're idiots.
Because Marshall said they had the G out.
We were so enthralled with finding the OO. We were so happy that we found OOY that we forgot we had G. Dude, what are we doing? What is going on? I blame myself. I really do. Jeez.
Is there no way to redeem us? What if I
No.
got perfect in time hop?
No. Honestly, I gotta tell you, that might be the worst that we've ever done.
Yeah, no.
That might, like, Ebron aside, and then Mac Jones, and then we had a letter in Wordle that we screwed up. That might take the cake.
How did we not know we had G?
That's it. Folks, you just witnessed it. Thank you very much. That was the worst effort that we have ever had for Grid into Wordle.
Yeah, 100%.
That was horrible. That was... Here come the text. You guys are idiots.
Yeah,
yes. You know what? That is really bad. That... Wow.
Hey, it happens to the best of us. It happens to the best of us.
You want to just get to time hop movies and stuff quick? All right, quick time hop before we get to the Cavs tonight. Here we go. All right, quickly, we just go back 1 year ago today, a report that Stephen Vogt would be the front runner for the Guardians managerial job. It works out. Also 1 year ago today, a report that Connor Stallions purchased 30 games worth of tickets to 11 different Big Ten schools over 3 years. We all know how that played out. This day, 2022, Browns fall to Baltimore 23-20. That's Jacoby Brissett. This day, 2019, Kyrie Irving set an NBA record by scoring 50 points in his debut for the Nets. That was the most points ever in a debut game.
Charles is accusing us that we just don't want to do a giveaway.
Oh, no. I have a giveaway lined up. No, I'm ready to go. We got to get, by the way, Mike, if you're watching Mike Babcock, check your Twitter, man. We DM'd you so we can get your name and your information. Honestly, we could roll that over. If Mike doesn't take the prize, we'll roll that over.
We're really just that stupid.
No, really. Charles, I truly wish the answer was us tanking to not do the giveaway, and that's not true at all. We are literally just that stupid. We really are today anyway. I remember this game, 2016, Browns-Bengals, 31-17 Cincy. A.J. Green had 170 yards receiving. Jeremy Hill rushed for 170 yards in that game on 9 carries for Jeremy Hill. This day, 2001, the first ever iPod goes on sale. Do you know how much they charged for the OG iPod this day, 2001?
2001, okay. Let me do my calculations. Talking about inflation. $150.
$400. $399.
For an iPod?
Yeah. for an iPod, an OG one. Now you got one sealed like that, it's probably worth a couple $10,000 of that. Say 1963, Yankees named Yogi Berra manager. What's the best star athlete to then become coach of the team? You know what I mean? Like if LeBron came the coach of the Cavs. Like Patrick Ewing was a failure as the Knicks coach.
So it had to be,
Georgetown.
And you had to play for that team.
I'm talking, yeah, like star guy for a franchise, then also became the coach or the manager. I mean, I'm throwing it out there. It's not like a really great list that I can think of right now. Like Steve Kerr, if he had been coach of the Bulls. You know what I'm saying? Like, Cavs don't really have that. We don't have too many former players that become our coach. Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, baseball, like, I don't know. I just brought it up. Something on my mind. Very happy birthday goes out to Cleveland's own John Heisman. You know, his house is over there. You can go see it as part of the Historical Society. Chichi Rodriguez. That one's just for my dad. Pele, Doug Flutie, Nick Bosa, Ryan Reynolds, Weird Al Yankovic, and Robert Trillo, who's the bassist for the bassist for Metallica, celebrating birthdays today. All right, just 3 movies for you. Well, not all movies. This first one's a mini-series.
Okay.
This date, 2020.
Okay.
Took the world by storm, I think, in part because of COVID in 2020. People were bored and wanted to watch something.
Tiger King?
No, good guess, but no. But the same thing, this was also just on a streaming platform. And it has to do with a game that we actually talked about not too long ago. Has to do with a board game.
What?
It's a board game I said I was going to start playing with my son. You made fun of me because I was in this club when I was a kid.
I made fun of you?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I said I was in this club when I was growing up. And you made fun of me.
I make fun of you a lot.
I know you do. That's the other problem. What?
Monopoly?
No.
Battleship?
No. Wrong. You're going the wrong way here. This is a long... People have played this particular type of board game for probably hundreds of years, I think.
Chess?
Yes.
Oh, Queen's Gambit.
Queen's Gambit is correct. I mean,
Taylor-Joy.
It's what's that?
With Anna Taylor-Joy, right?
Yeah, I feel like that really, obviously that really kind of launched her, into some other things going on, but it was also
You were in chess club?
You made fun of me for that. I said I told you I was in chess club. I told you that.
So. I don't know if I would have made fun of you for that.
I think I did. No, I told you. I said I was in chess club.
I don't think so.
I do. Yeah, I remember that. I remember when you make fun of me, okay? It just kind of goes that way, but...
I was in garden club in elementary school.
See, gardening club I think would be cool. I don't know. That's just me. But yeah, Queen's Gambit. The thing is, people didn't know that was not a... People thought it was a true story. It really wasn't. They just made it up because that's the opening move, one of the opening moves of chess. All right, next up, a film that came out this day, 2012. This is a movie that is part of one of the most popular film franchises in history. There's over 20 of these movies.
Jesus.
Different actors play the lead character over and over again.
James Bond?
That is correct.
GoldenEye?
No, that was 90s. This was the 23rd installment of the James Bond franchise.
Scepter?
No, you're around there. I don't know if you'd get it. You'd just be guessing, right? Skyfall?
Oh, I would have.
Skyfall eventually, yeah.
That.
That was Daniel Craig. Is Daniel Craig? Who's the new James Bond, by the way? They haven't announced it, right? Everybody wanted Henry Cavill to do it. Then Idris Elba was going to do it. And, I feel like Daniel Craig they made him do one more. I want more Knives Out movies from him if I want anything.
Facts.
But I'm not really into the James Bond, side of things with Skyfall. Then we go all the way back to this day, 1941. This was a Disney animated film.
Charles said he confirms you did say you were in chess club.
Yeah, I said it was chess club. Yeah, I remember that. 1941 Disney animated, particularly Large Animal.
Dumbo.
That is correct. That doesn't save us for our atrocity earlier. But there's your time op for today. It's all right. Ryan will turn all attention to the Cavs. Let's go! Quickly, I'm just going to go back and rewatch. Seed for the Cavs this season. Oh, we forgot to do that question today. Over under 3.5, your seed for the Cavs. I'm going to say under. I think they are the 3 seed this year.
Oh, so that'd be under because it'd be...
Under, because it'd be under the 3.5. I'm going to say under. I think they're the 3 seed.
Boston, Milwaukee.
Knicks 76ers then would be in that mix, would they not?
76ers are...
They ain't going to play enough games, I get you.
I'll go 4 seed again.
Where does the season end? Making the playoffs. We're making the playoffs. I think we're getting past the first round. Do you think we get to the Eastern Conference Finals this year? I do.
All right, let's do it.
I'm going to say Eastern Conference Finals. I'm going to say we're going to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Let's go. Any awards for any of the players this year? I think Evan Mobley will finish top 3 in Defensive Player of the Year. I think he's going to win it, but I think he'll be top 3. I think Donovan's going to get MVP votes. He's not going to win it, but I think he'll get votes if he play. I think he's going to play enough games this year for it too as well. I think he'll be all NBA. I think Evan Mobley is all NBA this year. Wouldn't that be something?
Here's the thing.
Wouldn't that be
in
something?
terms of awards, your most likely is probably Kenny Atkinson to win Coach of the Year.
That's another good call.
But I don't necessarily see that happening.
Well, the other thing is I wonder about how many other guys are going to get aced out of all NBA or the other awards because they don't play enough games. I think Donovan plays enough games this year. I think Evan Mobley does. So I think he sneaks on to it all. Donovan Mitchell's all NBA this year. There's no question in me that he is all NBA this year. I think Mobley might make his way there.
How about this one? And I don't think this would count because he's been an all-star before, but could you potentially see a guy like Darius Garland if he has a great season, most improved?
I would see that very much too. I would like that very much too. You know, I thought about this question too as we get ready for our season primer. Do they trade anybody before the trade deadline? That's one of the biggest things that people are sitting here. It's like this uneasiness of like, I want to see the Cavs play tonight.
Well,
but
yeah,
you
they
just have
will,
this,
but
like,
it's not
this
ticking
clock of like, you feel like they're going to have to trade somebody. They signed Jared Allen, so they have a window to trade him. Do they get Garland out of here? Probably not. Like, I don't want to say it's a negative feeling that I have, Ryan, but it's just something that's kind of like right below the surface of like, well, are they going to get this figured out? Or are they going to trade somebody?
Right.
Do you feel like they will?
Right. I mean, it's all dependent on that. I think they'll trade somebody, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a starter. And that being said, like it all depends on
something like that.
It depends on. I mean, obviously, if they go into this season and they're by the break, they're what 10 and.
I don't even want to say they could be
35?
playing well. I think they could be above 500, and you still just sit there and you go, it ain't working.
Right? Yeah. No, it's very.
I think Jared Allen, which tells me a lot that they signed that deal when they did to give him the window. I think Jared Allen's going to get traded. I hope not, but we'll see how it goes. All right, rapid fire over-under statistical categories for all of these players. Are you ready? Number 1, Donovan Mitchell, 26 and a half points.
26 and a half. I bet.
20, and his average in his career with the Cavs has been 27 in his time in Cleveland.
Well, you know what then? I'm going to go under. Just because that doesn't mean he's going to be worse than last year. But it's just the fact that Evan Mobley is if you produce, if you expect him to do that and you expect Darius Garland to be better. Yeah, I'll go under.
By the way, do you want me to, let me do this. Let me pull up last year's stats, which is hard because then a lot of these guys got hurt. Let me clear this out. Can you give me a second here? I want to give the people what they're looking for, which is great content. Sorry. We try. All right. Because here's what I can do, okay? Donovan Mitchell career is only averaging 28 or 25 points per game. Hang on, I want to do stats. I would like to do his time in Cleveland, but he's averaging 27 points per game in his career in Cleveland. He's sitting here at 26 and a half over under. You think the under because he's going to distribute a little bit more?
Right.
I think over. I think you need him scoring, so I'm going to take the over. 5.5 assists per game for Donovan Mitchell. Last year, averaged 6.1. The year before that, 4.4.
Well, if I just said under for that, I'll go over for that.
Okay. Darius Garland. Let me do this because you haven't seen this. What would you set his over-under at?
For points?
For points this season.
Darius Garland?
Yes.
19 and a half.
You animal! Wow!
I swear to God, I haven't seen that.
Wow, I know you haven't. Yeah. Wow! Woo. 18 last year, 21 and a half the 2 years prior. So 19 and a half for Darius Garland, over under.
I'll be optimistic. I'll go over.
Oh, you're going to go over? All right. If I take Mitchell over, I have to take the under on this.
Sure.
His 6.5 assists per game is Darius Garland as well. Last season, he had 6.5. The year before that, 8. Year before that, 8.5. I think that's a fair bet to take the over there on his assist total. Jared Allen.
Points?
Yep.
14 and a half.
Damn, you were close. 15 and a half.
I was going to say
15 and a half. So last year, 16 and a half. Year before that, 14 and a half. Year before that, 16.
Yeah. I'll go over.
I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take the under 15 and a half points per game for Jared Allen. Rebounds per game.
12 and a half.
10 and a half. Oh. He had 10 and a half last year. Do you know he's actually never averaged over 10 and a half, or he's never averaged over 11 boards a season in his career. Never. Oh. He had 10.8 2 years ago and 10 and a half last year. That's the closest he got. So he's never had over 11. I think they're going to ask him to do a little more defense. So again, if I'm going to take under points, I'm going to take over rebounds for him, because I think he might be more on the defensive side of things. Okay. All right, Evan Mobley, points per game.
17 and a half.
15 and a half. So maybe some good value there for you if you like the over. Now, we're all pretty hopped up. I like the over.
Yeah, I love the over.
He averaged 15.7 last year, 16 the year prior.
That'd be my favorite bet.
I like that. Karis LeVert, 13 and a half. Max Strus, 11 and a half on the season, if you like either one of those over-unders.
Max Strus under.
Yeah. Final thing, 48 and a half wins for the Cavs.
I'll go over.
Over. I'm going slamming that. I slam the over on that. I like the over a lot on that.
I listened to you and Danny.
Yeah, Danny and I both feel like, again, you were about that mark last year with some really bad injuries. I know the East is better this year. I like the over a lot on that. I really do. So there's our bets. Tonight, 5.5. We're just there's no trends to look at with this, but I would tell you, I just like the Cavs. Is it 6.5 or 5.5? 5. I like the Cavs.
No, it's 6.
It's 6. Okay. So I like the Cavs tonight anyway to get that win. I think Toronto's kind of bad. So we'll get that done tonight, get back after it tomorrow, and kick the Cavs season off the right way. Bracket, please. The winners for your best horror franchise.
That's right. Yeah. I don't even think it was close, Matt. Group 1, oh my goodness. Halloween, 85.7%.
Okay.
And Scream, 48.6.
Okay. So they advanced. Those are 2 heavy favorites. Group 3 tonight, Nightmare on Elm Street, Saw, Child's Play, and Alien. Group 4, Friday the 13th, Paranormal Activity, which actually is going to get my vote in that, because I haven't seen Terrifier or Insidious. So I'm going to go Paranormal Activity in Group 4. So go follow at Matt Fontana Show, and we'll send that out for the bracket coming up. Drennan is here. Got bonus time tonight. Check out the app, and you can always watch it on Twitter as well. We'll be back tomorrow efforting a Cavs guest. So we'll get somebody on to recap the first game of this year, get a little preview on that. So join you tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Appreciate your support today. As always, you missed our interview with Brett McMurphy or Noah Weiskopf. Go back to our YouTube page or go subscribe in the app where the interviews are cut up. They're individual right there and ready to go. For Ryan Tyler, I am Matt Fontana. As always, go Cavs. Take it easy.